Live from your home of Microsoft Apologist Everywhere, you're listening to Techies Talking Tech Tonight, colloquially known as T4. I'm your host, Trey Comstock. With me this week, as always, is Jimmy Principe, our executive editor.
Hello.
It is Wednesday.
What day is it?
The 30th of July. And
it is the day after Tuesday.
It's the day after Tuesday, and this is the show where we talk about tech as techies, without the kind of carefully crafted doc that we have for the other show.
Look, I promise in this show I will not reference congressional documents.
Nor will I make him read congressional documents.
I will not do independent research. I will say whatever the hell I want.
Yep. So basically, it's like the other show.
Yeah, basically.
Where I have to sit there and keep track of factual inaccuracies to hopefully correct them as we go. It's mostly like the other show. This is lovely behind-the-scenes look of how these things get made. It's Jimmy says something, and I go, oh, God.
Trey goes, is that even true? He just said that. I don't even know if that's... I don't know how to check that quickly.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that's inaccurate.
Fact checking is the death of podcasts, Trey. Just remember.
Yes, but what that implies is that you've done your research beforehand.
Oh, see, that's
so that you don't have to fact checking live. Although we had to do a bunch of it this past week. It's generally speaking the death of podcasts. So, Jimmy, what's new with you?
Oh man, where to start? Well, the newest thing for me is my Pebble Steel.
I see that.
I did finally decide to purchase literally tonight. So I'm not going to talk at length about that. That'll be next week.
Yeah, we're going to probably do a kind of a wearables episode next week because I have this. If you mistake it for a oddly glowing black band, you would be correct.
Okay, Hal.
It's the Polar Loop, and I wear it upside down because, quite frankly, it's hideous when you flip it right side up.
You have got to be kidding me.
So, in Pokemon X...
Also, you get less steps when you sit at your desk all day than I get when I sit at my desk all day.
Yeah, I have 3,390 steps.
Yeah, see, I usually get like 4,700 steps when I'm at my desk.
Yeah, but I don't have to go to and from a parking lot.
So what you're telling me is that my Houston thing of walking from my apartment to my car, okay, this is best described using air conditioning. From my air-conditioned apartment to my air-conditioned car to my air-conditioned office to my air-conditioned car to my air-conditioned apartment, and nothing in the middle is more than you do.
This isn't true because this is
all you do is you walk from your bedroom to your
studio.
Wait, I remember this. You walk from your bedroom to the kitchen
you turn on the Keurig
up.
Then I make Cheerios.
Then you make Cheerios.
Then I make coffee.
In the sense that people make Cheerios.
I make Cheerios. Then I walk from my kitchen back to my studio, and I sit down right there on the couch behind me and work for many hours. And actually today I had to go do a client meeting, so I actually walked to my car, got in my car, drove
Someone
to
let you talk to people? That was a primary mistake.
Yeah, no, I actually went and did a client meeting because we're doing a custom video for... Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm doing my job. And so I actually had to go meet with a client today. And so this actually includes walking to and from a client meeting. So we'll probably talk about wearables next week. But you seem to have an axe to grind. Well, we both have an axe to grind, but you have a particular axe to grind this week.
Okay, so my wonderful girlfriend moved about a week and a half ago now, and got into her new apartment and called Comcast to have them come set up, or actually didn't even call Comcast, had them set up to come out and set up her internet. So Comcast comes out and say, all right, you're good. The signal, the guy said something like, I was there, it said something like, the signal is a little high. So I did this. That should fix it. And I kind of ran it through the brain. I was like, okay, based on what he said, I guess that could be true. Basically, he put a splitter on it. And I was like, okay, so that there will be enough drop through a splitter that he'll maybe get that signal kind of in a normal range. And so whatever, didn't think anything of it. There was internet. It was working. Well, then we leave to go to dinner, come back. Internet's not working. It's not working all night. Not working the next day. Not working. So she calls. They say, okay, we'll send someone out on Wednesday. This is a Friday that we were doing this. Send someone out on a Wednesday, which for Comcast is a pretty quick turnaround. They come out, they go, oh yeah, this wasn't done right. It looks like you have some problem upstream. Da 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 da. I'll call the upstream Comcast people. In the meantime, I'll do this. That should give you internet for now, and they should be coming tomorrow to fix the greater issue. So she has internet once again for like 2 hours, and then it goes out again and is out the next day. Comcast upstream people come the next day. She calls the guy. He gave her his card and said, just give me a call tomorrow if it stops working again. Gives the guy a call, and he says, oh, okay, they're out there working on it. So when you get back, go ahead and unplug your router, wait for 10 seconds, plug it back in, see if it works then, and then if it doesn't work, give me a call. So she does that and starts working. Oh, great, awesome. Doesn't work the next day. And so we go through this, and then like Comcast comes out again, and they try to fix it again. So they basically came out 4 different times to try to fix this problem and did not fix it.
So what is the issue?
The issue seems to be that the complex is an older complex from the 50s, and when they wired it for cable, they just kind of did whatever the hell they wanted. And as a result of that, nothing was well labeled, nothing was well kind of laid out or anything. So every time someone moves in, apparently it all goes to hell in a handbasket. Every time.
That seems not optimal.
So nobody in the complex has Comcast, really. We were looking at the list of Wi-Fis. No one was Comcast. Everyone was AT&T. Well, AT&T charges a $200 setup fee, and then based on talking to the people in the complex, they say, oh, yeah, but you have that same problem with AT&T. Sometimes it'll just go out. We don't know why. And then whatever. So, this is not a long-term viable solution by any means, because it sounds like hell. I'd also like to point out that I am using Comcast 50 megabit per second internet for this current podcast.
It's essentially what we use here in the studio, too.
I'm not hating on Comcast as a company. I'm just hating
on
they
are a pretty bad company.
I don't feel, let me rephrase that. I don't feel like I have to hate on Comcast as a company. Someone else has done that recently for me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the long and short of it is we go and we start looking at other solutions. And I looked at her and I said, basically the only thing you can do is you have to go with some kind of wireless, modem thing. But then you're going to be limited on speed and on capacity, and you're going to pay through the nose and all these things. And so she's with Sprint. So we go to Sprint. They basically tell me that they can only offer me a 12 gig plan was the max that they could offer me, even though I know online that they had a 30 gig plan.
But that's also, yeah, okay.
You can get 30 gigs for $109 a month. Ugh. But okay, I actually have an axe to grind with this Sprint person, because they said, okay, you have to get it's with a 2-year contract. It's free with a 2-year contract. And we both go, we don't want a 2-year contract. We want something that's not a 2-year contract. It's a month to month. And she's like, well, you can't get the device for free. It's going to be this much money. And, we don't offer a non or something like that, basically. I'm like, wait a second. What? And my girlfriend goes, no, I'm not going to sign a contract. She goes, well, you can buy it outright, and then you just pay for the service. I'm like, oh, so what you're telling me is that the original thing you told me was that I can pay for a 2-year lease of 2-year loan of your stupid device that, oh, by the way, equals the same price of the device as it is now. You can go to hell, because and that was my thought process. And I told her that makes no sense. And also that's not a contract. So it was a month-to-month hotspot service that they were trying to get, that the way they pitched it was that you had to sign this 2-year thing in order to get the hotspot. You had to. There was no choice.
Well, sure, because they want to hide they want to hide. Well, no, what they make the money on is locking you in for 2 years.
Right, exactly.
That's a really, if you're designing a corporation and you're trying to maintain a revenue stream, that's how you want to do it.
But it does. The weird thing is that it's not actually going to lock you into the contract for, the actual service for the device is still not a contract. You're just paying for a month-to-month you're paying for a service on the device itself. So You're paying $8 a month for the device.
$80. Okay. $8 a month.
$8 over 24 months.
Okay.
But don't pitch it to me that way. Don't tell me that it is a 2-year contract to get the device for free.
But that's how they all are. I mean, it's essentially what any of these 2-year contracts are. Is you pay... What do I pay? I pay... On my iPhone, I pay $80 a month.
Right, well, they've just started breaking it out recently. But I can still get the same price month to month if I buy the thing outright.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it's just... It felt like she was being misleading in the way that she presented the information.
So this is the Sprint lady, right?
Fuck you, Sprint. You can go to hell. I have T-Mobile. I'm very happy with them. You can all go to hell.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know you recently left them because they couldn't give you a SIM card.
They told me it was going to be $75 for a SIM card unless I paid for their stupid phone insurance, which was $20 a month on a smartphone or something. I'm exaggerating. It's like
it's a racket.
But still, fuck you. I bought my Nexus 5 unlocked. Right. And you're going to charge me a congratulations, you bought it unlocked fee?
Yep. Because, they make their money on devices.
They can go to fucking hell. Fuck them.
Sprint.
I love that this show has profanity.
Yeah.
So I can tell them how I really feel.
Yeah.
This is the fuck Sprint.
So,
but anyway,
so no Comcast, no AT&T, and no Sprint? So who'd
you... No, we looked at Verizon, same kind of deal. So the way we got around this was, so I used to have a Clear service, the hotspot company that helped Sprint roll out their WiMAX 4G years ago. When I first moved into my apartment, before I had real computers and things that needed real internet, that's what I would use, and it worked fine for Netflix. And I was like, you know what? Because we had heard that Clear wasn't accepting any new customers because they'd been actually absorbed into Sprint at this point. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if they'll let me reactivate my Clear account. So I went and grabbed my Clear hotspot. I typed in the MAC address on the Clear website. I said, oh yeah, I have a Clear device I need to activate. And instead of doing what it did on any of the other things when you click them and just redirect you to the Sprint part of that website, it stayed in the Clear site that used to be there that I originally set up with.
Okay.
So I had her fill in all her information and activate a new service for $55 a month. Unlimited 4G.
But 4G WiMAX.
4G WiMAX.
Not LTE.
But in Houston, in town, it's not a problem.
Okay.
So until they start taking out the WiMAX 4G, you're fine.
Yeah, but so this is a plan not without caveats, right? It's kind of a miracle, right? You found someone who's offering unlimited 4G in this day and age, which
they're not really.
Which doesn't really exist. And that's great, but you're using a service that could die at any time.
That's true.
Using a technology that could be deprecated at any time. Right?
You say at any time. I'm not sure about that because
whenever they're trying to roll out what the hell
5G though, because they need to they'll use their edge spectrum.
There's the new generation of
XLTE is what
whatever the hell Verizon's calling it. I guess it is XLTE.
But Sprint still has more spectrum than everybody.
Right, thanks to spectrum options.
And
they may have even more spectrum because you may go back to being a Sprint customer soon.
Yeah, if they do that merger with T-Mobile that SoftBank. It's not even a merger with T-Mobile. SoftBank is attempting to purchase T-Mobile as well.
Right. And so you may go back to being a Sprint customer.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I'll go be a Verizon or AT&T customer before I go back to Sprint.
Really?
Customer. I don't know. You're always supposed to choose the lesser of two evils, I'm told.
Sometimes it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, luckily we did find a solution that involved not having to change usage patterns, which was really the issue.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, we can do this, but understand that if you watch Netflix at the level you do right now, you're screwed.
Well, I think, some of this isn't, it's hard to say whose fault this is, right? Whoever wired that building is the one most at fault.
It's their fault.
I mean, it sounds like you are the only person to have had a positive customer service experience with Comcast.
I think it was because it was so closely following the. It was literally
right after
the
Ryan, the Ryan Block
Friday
thing.
of after the whole thing hit the fan.
Yeah.
Was the day that.
So for the I get
So like everything hit the fan. I remember because I was sitting in the doctor's office for my strep on Thursday.
Right.
And Kate moved into her apartment on Friday.
Right. So for those of you who don't follow the tech news as obsessively as we do, and that's probably healthier for you.
You have better social lives.
So Comcast had a bit of a tiff. Ryan Block, who is a AOL employee, works for Engadget. Somebody.
No, it's not Engadget. It's
whatever AOL's.
Ars? Do they own Ars?
Maybe. So one of the AOL tech properties.
I'm on this.
He was calling to cancel his Comcast service because he was moving to a new internet provider for his new home, and he wanted to cancel cancel Comcast at his previous address. And he ended up in a 20-minute long conversation with the rep who fundamentally refused to cancel his service and kept asking questions like, why would you want to cancel? I'm trying to help you. Why would you ever want to go to this person? Like, basically the help guy was acting as a salesperson. There's been a bunch of articles out lately that's basically Comcast's thing, is that whether you're tech support or customer service or billing or whatever, you do sales.
Okay, so Ryan Block, formerly of Engadget and now at AOL.
Hey, I had two relevant things. I had it backwards.
But yeah, like Comcast.
And he recorded 8 minutes of this call, and I've listened to it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I'd heard about it the day before because one of my coworkers had found it on the internet. It popped up on Reddit.
Oh yeah, it blew up all over the place. We almost talked about it.
It was literally that blew up on Wednesday and Thursday, and on Fridays when she was having her service set up. So I'm thinking they felt it kind of freshly at that point.
Sure.
There's probably a company-wide directive. We don't care. Do everything in your power.
Make us look good for once. I know it's difficult. We're terrible.
Like heinous people.
We're heinous. It's a heinous company.
They are a heinous company. That's true.
Well, and then they're trying to buy Time Warner, which
makes them even more of a heinous company.
Bode well for the future. So it rapidly becomes that for most Americans, your two internet options are going to be AT&T, usually DSL, AT&T or Verizon DSL, maybe UVerse or Fios if you're really lucky, and then some Comcast derivative.
Or Cox.
I mean, look, I have used everybody but Verizon.
I've used Verizon.
I have not used Verizon for internet.
Used Verizon, Comcast, and Time Warner.
I've used Time Warner, Charter, Cox, and AT&T. And Ringgold Telephone Company, which is not owned by it. It's actually I use a locally owned internet provider. I know I've talked about this before.
You have a locally owned internet provider, I find completely ridiculous.
Well, no, but it's right next door to a city with municipal gigabit internet.
That's true.
They call themselves, Chattanooga calls themselves the Gig City, and I was like,
they call themselves the Gig City?
The Gig City. It's on all of the billboards. The Gig City.
You've got to be kidding me.
I really wish I was, but I can't make this stuff up.
Anyways, Trey, what's new with you?
Okay, so we talked on the last show 2 weeks ago about how my kind of foibles with Windows 8, right? Like, I've been trying to give Windows 8 a pretty fair shot.
Right,
I use it every day. I've been using it in some capacity since it was released. I actually downloaded it for my Media Center PC the day it came. It
does not work for the Media Center PC.
It does all right. I like the Metro start screen as a 10-foot interface, but the fact that it's an older style touch mouse, and
I mean the fact that your Revo just did not handle that well.
Well, and up until Windows 8.1, there was no way to close Metro apps. so
because you couldn't press Alt F4, you
couldn't Alt F4, and you couldn't click and drag, so you couldn't swipe down to close an app. And in Windows 8.1, they added if you're on a mouse, now there's a little like X up in the corner like a Windows app.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
Because I use it on a laptop, so with a touchscreen. So
Right. So, but I even notice it when I'm on the Surface Pro 3, and so that's great. So now I could close Metro style apps. But for a while, if I ever opened Netflix, it was always open because I couldn't close it.
Oh, come on! You know you just want to have Netflix always open.
So what I would have to do is periodically hook in another mouse that I could click and drag, so that I could go through and close my Metro apps. Less than ideal. But what I've been trying to say is I've been giving it a fair shot, and over time I've been realizing that this OS is just not right. It's just not right. And so I was sitting in a hospital. I'm a pastor, so I do that from time to time.
This happens.
This happens. Also saw a guy playing World of Warcraft on a hardcore Alienware gaming PC in the middle
and it was totally screwing the Wi-Fi, right?
It was totally screwing the Wi-Fi. I was like,
you were like, why is this not working? Oh, okay.
You're playing WoW. Good for you. I mean, if you got a raid, you got a raid. Like, I get it. I grew up with a brother who would hustle me to get out of, because I would like to stay after rehearsal, like socialize with people. Like Drew would be like, no, we gotta go. It's like, why? I got a raid. It's like, okay. And like people would be calling him on his phone, Drew, why are you not on this raid yet? Like, I'm on my way home from school. My brother has a much deeper voice than I do.
My brother's being lame.
My brother's being lame. I gotta go home and raid. Like, whatever works. Anyways, and the person I was there with had a original Surface Pro,
which is a good device.
Which is a good device, and I just watched that woman. And this is in her 30s or 40s, not super old, very well educated, like job at the county clerk's office, like this should be someone who should be all right with this.
Right. And relatively intelligent person that can operate in real life.
That functions in real life and like can use her phone and isn't like, ew, technology. Right. This is not like a Luddite, okay? This is a woman that owns a Surface Pro. Okay?
An original Surface Pro before they were cool.
Before they were cool. And any Surface, my dad being a Surface Pro hipster is like, I had it before it really worked, and I went, good for you. I have the one that really works. Not that we haven't highly awarded the other previous generations.
Hey, we thought they were great things.
They are great. They still are. I'm mostly joking.
They weren't quite as great of things
as the Surface Pro 3. I mean, the Surface Pro 3 is just a phenomenal device. But anyways, I just was sitting there watching her wrestle with this, and it was just like,
why do we do this?
And she couldn't. And I hope this doesn't come off insulting her, because this is a woman that is totally functional in XP and Windows 7. She was talking to me about it, and she's just like, she just couldn't make it go. And she would periodically, and she was just looking at it why did that happen? And I could explain it to her why that happened, but I can't really explain to her.
You shouldn't have to.
But I couldn't explain to her why that happened. Why does it work like that?
I don't know.
There's this man named Steven Sinofsky, and Steven Sinofsky really thought that what you should have is this.
Steven Sinofsky was a douchebag. That's really all you need to know.
Thought he was Steve Jobs, but he wasn't, because when Steve Jobs told you you really want it that way, usually he was right. Begrudgingly,
or he had the force of will to make you believe. Yes.
You don't want Flash. Oh, no, I don't want Flash.
You're right, I don't. It's a janky piece of software. And all the people on Windows are going, oh, God. I mean, you're right. It's really janky, but it runs 3/4 of the internet.
Right. So Jobs is usually right and Sinofsky was usually wrong. And so then I've been thinking about it. And she was talking about how her whole office, I won't tell you where she works, but her whole office was still on XP, and Microsoft was calling her to upgrade. And she's like, well, I do that through this is local government.
An executive account, I'm sure.
Right. And so that there's
enterprise account.
Microsoft Enterprise Accounting was like, hey, you need to get off this thing. And she's like, yeah, no, I've talked to the county about that. She was up on the fact that XP was no longer supported. And, one of the things she was glad they were talking about moving to Windows 7. It's like, yeah, we can just make it look like XP. And I was like,
keep everybody comfortable.
Right.
So here's my question. In Windows 8, can I make it look like Windows 95?
No.
Or DOS?
No. I mean, you could run command prompt. So
Well,
you
it's a
can make it look like
virtualized command
DOS.
environment because they pulled DOS out of it.
But remember, the desktop is now basically functioning as a virtualized environment.
That's true.
Everything
Windows
you
8,
love is now virtualized.
Show title.
The only thing that's real is Metro. Everything you love is virtualized. Right, you got it written down somewhere. Everything you love is virtualized. And what this really got me thinking, it's not necessarily even particularly what was happening with this person I was there with.
Right.
But just the fact that I don't really often think about what enterprise IT people must go through. But you think about that from Windows 95 to Windows XP, which is still the most common, still the most common SKU of Windows.
40-ish% now.
Too high a percent.
It's almost 50.
Right. Everything functioned basically the same. Actually, no, through Windows 7, everything looked the same.
Well, when you went from 2000 to 7, from Windows 2000 to Windows 7 is basically the same.
Right. So call it
12 years.
Yeah, no, I'm going back to 95.
You're going to go back to 95?
In terms of basic functionality?
Right.
Yeah, they added Start menu in Windows 95. Trust me.
I vaguely remember that. I had a Windows 3.1 machine.
So call it what? When did Windows
95 came out in 95, I would assume.
Yeah, it came out in 95. So from
8 came out in 8. Wait.
No, 7 came out in 8.
8 came out in 9?
8 came out in
12.
12.
I know the answer to that question. I'm just being a dick.
Right. So from 1995 to 2012, Windows functioned one way, basically, with tweaks and, Windows 7
When you consider that Windows as a concept is only 10 years older than that?
Right. I mean, with
So for
3.1.
almost 20 years of Windows' life, it functioned in one way.
In one way. And so for like
80% of its life, it functioned one way.
So if you are towards the end of your corporate career and you had to adjust to Windows in 95 and you got it and you're not a Luddite, you made the adjustments, you went to the training, and now all of these things that you just kind of know, you now don't know? No wonder no enterprise wants to adopt Windows 8. I wouldn't want to do that to people.
Well, and it's also just that they're like, we have some people, the comment has been made, why are there so many old people that don't understand computers by a young person? This was and admittedly, this is by someone that says purposefully inflammatory things. But because as part of my fun with mergers, I think I said before we went to Spain said on one of these shows about moving to Oracle and how Oracle is just kind of a fundamentally broken piece of software. But it is so bad that, and in that it is so different from what we did before, that the more senior people in the office literally have to have younger people do the work that they need done in Oracle.
Right.
Because they cannot learn it. But they're at the point where they've been doing the same thing for so long that learning a new thing is just not feasible.
Right. And I mock editors who don't want to make the jump from Final Cut 7 to Final Cut X. Right. I make fun of them. But I spent a lot less time in Final Cut 6 and 7 than they did. Right? I mean, I trained on 6 and I basically functioned in 7. But my career as an editor is pretty much, still very young. I'm still very young in the editing field. And so for me to make a jump to something that looks more like iMovie doesn't really bother me. But I have been building PCs since I was 10. I have been configuring Windows since I was 11. I can't figure out some of the things. I periodically have to...
I don't know why.
I can't figure out Windows 8 half the time.
Windows 8 gives me this headache when I'm just thinking about it. Where is this control panel thing? You go into the normal control panel and you're like, it's not here. Son of a bitch. They have a separate control panel.
Everything. I've been using that control panel since since I was playing around with my Windows 3.1 machine. Control panel is basically, especially because I go back to the default, the original, the OG look of control panel. I've been basically using the same control panel my entire life. And now half the things I want to do aren't in there. And it's not logical what things are in there and what things are not. And also, how on earth does anyone access the Metro version of IE? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Right. I am being held captive by Windows 8 on this device that I love. I love the Surface Pro 3. I think the pen integration's for real. The battery life is amazing. The form factor is great. That mouse is crap, but I've been over that. We're all being held captive by Windows 8. And people keep saying, people just need to get used to it. No, I'm sorry.
The IT crap is really the biggest problem. When you look at it from an IT perspective,
right?
It's just an insurmountable nightmare.
Right. It's somewhat of an insurmountable nightmare for me.
I think that this is the current IT strategy with Windows 8. Let them all get Windows 8 devices for their personal devices, hate them, and fight with them for a year until they figure it out, and then we'll implement it.
No, it's threshold. They're just waiting until Windows 9. They figured out the thing. Just skip every other one. I mean, that's what it is. It's like Star Trek movies. Just skip every other one.
And on that bombshell.
No, but think about it. What we've heard
I thought
about
that was a perfect point.
If you look at what they've talked about with Threshold, which is Windows 9, they're going to have 3 versions of Threshold, right? They're going to have the one for ARM chips, which is phone and small tablet. They're going to have one, and that won't have the desktop at all. They'll have one that will look like modern Windows 8 that will be for laptops and larger tablets, things with touchscreens. And then there's going to be something that's going to be more like Windows 7.
Basically, they're going to take the Metro and strip it out of Windows 8.
Right. And they're bringing back the old school start menu and all of it. And so they're basically going to have the enterprise and powerful PC desktop version, because Windows 8 makes no sense unless you have a touchscreen. As my struggles with that damn Media PC have
what they're
proven.
probably going to do, thinking about it that way, if you think about the control panel mess, so on small things, you'll have the settings menu, which has been the solution to that problem. On the medium-sized things, you'll have the control panel like you do in Metro.
Probably.
And on the large things, you'll have the control panel like you do.
Like you do.
Like control
panel.
And
if that's how it works out, then I think
we won't all hate our lives.
I tell you what, I can't wait till next spring in Threshold for this, because it just, I feel like I'm fighting with it. And I get part of it as I'm learning it. But it didn't take me this long to learn iOS or Windows Phone 8 or Windows 7 or even when I made the switch to OS 10. I mean, it's not like I don't ever switch operating systems. In 2005, I switched to OS 10. And I got it pretty quickly. Because guess what? Functions basically like Windows 95. Because Windows 95 stole a lot of its ideas from what was then OS 5? I don't remember.
Don't ask me. I don't even know.
Okay, so we'll close out the show with one final segment, and that is home automation tech, or
oh my god,
connected home tech that's worth anything. So Jimmy, I have a budget of $200.
This was actually so this is being posed in this discussion. We've had this discussion off script, and we felt that it was worthwhile for everyone to hear this.
Right. So I literally have a budget of $200 to spend on, and I'd like to spend it on something to do with a connected home. Apple's about to release HomeKit. It's a, that and wearables, which we're
apparently
diving into. It's a thing. So I want a connected home thing. I don't have a whole lot of money to spend. This is essentially a birthday present that I have received. What's worth having in that $200? If my budget's $200, what's worth having? Because obviously that excludes a Nest.
P3.
That's a wearable, Jimmy. Headphones are wearables, not connected home.
So my answer is basically, I mean, I have a Wemo, a Belkin Wemo switch that I've had it for I guess about a year now,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit more. And it used to control these lights over my shoulder. I've since moved it to my bedroom. I'm thinking of getting another one for this. Those are about $50 a piece. You can get one that has like a motion sensor. It's kind
Yeah,
of
that was like
interesting.
150, but I
No,
was
it's
looking
not
at
that
that one.
much. It's like 80. It's not that bad. The little motion sensor thing I think makes it like $30 more. Maybe it's 100, but it's not more than 100. You get two of the motion sensor ones, which I'm sure Elliot would just adore.
Elliot's the cat.
Elliot is the cat, by the way. He is the cat of that you'll sometimes see on the show.
Yeah, we have two of them, but only one of them really ventures out. So
I mean, I know you're fact checking me. I'm pretty sure it's $80.
it is actually literally $80, and the switches are $50. You had it right.
So I mean, I like those things. I'm not. You can integrate them. Belkin has some little tools within their own app, but then the more powerful part of that is you can branch it back out to like if this then that. So like anytime, I mean, you could do just crazy crap with these things through if this then that. It's just IFTT. ITTT that.
Okay, so what about Philips Hue, the connected light bulbs?
Those things are awesome and super overpriced.
So one of them is $60,
See, no, that's not what you want to look at. Look at the cost for the home starter kit, which
which
I
is
believe is
$200.
$200.
Yep, Apple has a really nice connected home section of
which
their
gives
store.
you a little home station and 3 bulbs.
So do I need the home station?
I think that is the control. That's the brain.
Okay.
So you need that.
So I need that.
Realistically, actually, Sonos is probably the best connected home thing.
Yeah, but yeah,
as a package, you're not going to get it for $200.
you're not gonna get it for $200.
But it's as far as cost for what you get, it is by far the best.
My parents just basically redid their entire house in Sonos, and it's
amazing.
pretty cool.
And they've changed some of the requirements for the thing because you used to have to like get this home bay and do this thing, and now I think it just synchronizes with your Wi-Fi. You don't have to.
No, there's still.
They've added some intelligence to it, so that there was a piece that was like $300 you had to buy. Now there's a piece that's $100 you have to buy, or something like that. It's less ridiculous than it used to be.
But again, my budget's $200.
For $200,
if I wanted to spend $2,000, I'd buy Sonos.
I mean, for $200, you're pissing in the ocean.
Yes, but with technology that aren't headphones and smartphones, you're always pissing in the ocean for $200.
$200 for headphones, I would argue you can get a lot more.
Yeah, but I don't need. The last thing I need in my life is more headphones. It's not true. I always need more headphones.
But my point is, like, so if you look at peripherals and you look at things, which is essentially what smart home is supposed to be. It's supposed to be peripherals for your house.
Yep.
So if you look at peripherals for like your phone or your computer or things like that, I mean, like this also new, but I'm not really going to talk about it because I just buy. Trey buys headphones. I buy mice.
Because I kill headphones and he kills mice. The computerized ones.
The computerized ones, not the ones that cats chase. Anyways, this was $80, full price. I got it on sale, but it's very nice gaming.
Yeah,
it's
kind of what I pay for mice too.
I mean, and it'll last me a good long while, and it's weighted and does all the things I want. And I'm not making compromises at this level. Whereas with anything connected home, if you're spending less than $500, you're not going to get what you want.
That's kind of because that's kind of what I'm saying.
The better question is, and this is a question for all things technology, what do you want to do with it?
I see. Well,
I mean, do you want to control lights? If you want to control lights, there's all kinds of stuff. Do you want to control your actual your air conditioner you want to synchronize between these things? You want to make it so that, an hour before you get home, the air conditioner sets back so that it'll be cool
I work
when you get home.
Most of those things don't make any sense because I work from home. So that's why I say I don't want to. I actually have a connected thermostat here at the studio, but that doesn't necessarily make sense.
For example, one of the things I did was while we were away, I did two things. One, I set my alarm clock radio to just go off at random at two different times with the radio. So it would just be people talking. I have it set to NPR, so it just had people talking, and then the lights in my bedroom are they're on the same cycle. They turn on from because I wake up at stupid hours. They turn on at 5 a.m. to wake me up, and they're on from 5 until 8, and they shut off, and they turn on at the time the sun sets, which is an actual setting within the Belkin app. They turn on at that point, and then they turn off at 10 p.m.
So so it's not just that I can use my phone instead of a light switch. You can actually set up intelligent, essentially macros for these switches.
And you can, and why I say with whatever, if this and that, the app, you can do all kinds of stuff. Like you can do geofencing to turn it on. You can do,
cool.
So like for example, and geofencing doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think that you can do it so that if your phone connects to the Wi-Fi for your house, which will recognize, turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, when you pull up outside your apartment or you're walking into your front door, you'll have connected to the Wi-Fi.
Sure.
I saw that as a idea that someone had posted, and like the best thing about this is that IFTTT has pre-made recipes that people like. So I can make a recipe and then I can say, "Oh, I'll share that."
Yeah.
And so you can go just look what other people have done and get ideas that way. So the switches are the things I think you can, for $200, you can get the most mileage out of the switches.
Yeah, so
However,
get 4 because I can get.
You don't need 4 switches. You only probably need 2 switches.
Yeah, but I got 2 houses.
Okay, you need 2 switches per residence.
Right. So interestingly, that adds up to 4.
Because I know. Because right now, where I want them is I want one here. Because so my biggest gripe, and this is totally like not a problem, but that like you sit down to watch a movie at this time, it's dark, and then you realize that there's too much ambient light in the room, and so this dark movie is not really going well. So you have to pause, get up, walk over, turn the light off, and then walk back. Well, if I have my phone there already, which I probably do, I'd like to just open an app and hit a button and turn the lights off.
Right. Massive first world problem, but yeah.
Massive first world problem. But more importantly, like I have a switch here, so that's nice. But what about lights where you don't have a switch? Well, then you have to go to the individual light and turn the little thingamajigger, and
which is
that's a pain in the butt. I hate doing that. I much prefer the like pull cord. If it's a normal lamp with a pull cord, which I have in my bedroom, I actually like that.
So maybe what I need to get is just buy the starter pack for Philips Hue and hold raves in my studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay, because the advantage of Philips Hue, you can do any color you want,
right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I'm really intrigued by. But then if you have like a normal light fixture that you want to make smart, you can put these light bulbs in them.
Right.
So.
And so the home switch thing looks like it's $60 on its own. The other thing, they also have now rope lighting. Philips Hue has what do they call it? Philips Friends of Hue light strips for $90. It's basically Philips Hue rope lighting. I saw it in the Apple Store the other day. It looks pretty cool. The other thing I thought about was Dropcam, which is basically a Google subsidiary. But a connected security camera. So it's like glorified webcam.
So fun fact about Dropcam that I found out this week is that our mutual friend, dear sweet Matthew, his parents knew the guys that started Dropcam.
Oh, cool.
They're Rice grads.
Okay. I think I actually knew that they're Rice grads. So, I don't know. This is probably going to be an ongoing story as I figure out how I want to...
$90 for the rope light?
Yeah.
You got to be freaking kidding me.
Jimmy, it's rope light. Think of it's rope light that you can program the colors.
Trey, I'm not drunk enough right now to appreciate that.
I always appreciate that. And on that note, we should probably get out of here. If you have any feedback for the show, or if you have any suggestions on how to spend $200 in connected home, podcast at techlesscall.com, facebook.com/techlesscall, pinterest.com/techlesscall, or at techlesscall on the Twitters. Good night.